Welcome to Gutter. This is Will Sanchez. My special guest today is Nyles Garrison. I met Nyles in Nike Town back in 2003, 2004 when I started. Nyles was just amazing. He was our go-to guy on anything related to clothing and shoes. And he paced us at night. I'm thrilled to have Nyles as my guest. Welcome, Nyles.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Glad we made it work out. I've been after you for a couple of years now.
I know. It's been a long time. I'm here.
Okay, let's introduce yourself to our audience by telling us where were you born and how did you get such an interesting spelling of your name, Nyles?
My name's Nyles. It's an English name, or I would be corrected as a British name. Born here in New York, and born and raised here. I'm actually born in a hospital very close to here, so St. Louis Roosevelt Hospital.
Why Nyles? That's because your parents liked the British?
My grandmother loved Miles Davis, so she listened to she had all his music, and she actually met some friends of his at the time, my grandmother and my mom, and she met a gentleman named Nyles. So, but the spelling was N-I-L-E-S and not N-Y-L-E-S. So she used that, and she told my mother, you know, your son, your firstborn, name him Nyles, but spell it with a Y as opposed to an I. So it's original, but not so original.
Interesting, but it's spelled N-Y-L-E-S, so and that makes it almost unique.
Unique, right. So.
Okay. Now, as a youngster, were you very much actively involved athletically?
Yes. My grandmother cared for us most while my mom was in the military. And we went to Catholic parochial school as we were young, and then from there, we always participated in after-school programs. We were always in extracurricular activities. Martial arts, been in martial arts since I was pretty much 10.
So are you now a black belt or whatever they call it?
Certified to be, yes.
You know how to handle yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
And did you go to college, and what did you study there?
So I graduated from Murray Bertram in 1992, and from there I went to Iona to play Division II basketball. Which basketball was my first love of anything. I've always been involved with intramural basketball leagues. The after-school programs that I was in always had a basketball, program, so I was part of that while we were also learning. So from there, I wasn't that good of a basketball player, but enough, I would say B- to get into a Division II school, which is now Division I in NCAA rankings. So. Did there, and then decided to decline from the sport to pursue the psychology, which was something I was really interested in. So from there, I attended St. John's University.
For psychology?
For psychology.
Well, they also have a good basketball team.
They also do, but I wasn't that good. So, and that was a bona fide Division I from the start. While I was in undergrad and grad, I was in retail, so I needed to make extra money on the side. It was just a thing for me to do to keep, my pockets pretty good and not spend too much. So I worked in a stationery store, so that helped with the school supplies and everything. From there, I worked at Foot Locker as an assistant manager and key holder. I left there to work for Nike in 2000. Okay. So I worked, my tenure at Nike Town was from 2000 to 2009.
Wow.
So I was there for a whole 9 years, so almost a decade there.
I would imagine that they gave you a lot of training in terms of, because as I said, I met you 2003.
Yes.
And you were so knowledgeable about all the clothing.
Yeah, well, I've always been a geek about it. I always had a passion for the stuff, so I really liked it. And I didn't get the training for the stuff that I know now back then, so a lot of it was done, on my own little research.
In terms of running, you mean?
In terms of running, in terms of learning about the product that I was selling. So, once I started working for Nike, it was kind of like I had this vision of becoming part of one of the best companies in the world to work for. So you have to have a passion for it, you know, and you basically have to, you know, be a part of that. And as for running, the interesting story is, and not a lot of people know about my backstory to running, but in 2002, 2003, obviously a lot of people knew me from back then. They knew that I was of a certain weight. I was 240 pounds. And
really?
Yeah, so 5'11", so 240 pounds. It's not necessarily a obese type of weight, but I was pretty stocky at the time.
Yeah.
The backstory with that is that I went to get a physical, and everything was okay, except for a few things. And one of the things that was not traumatizing, but I would say, you know, a little bit more eye-opening was the fact that I was overweight. My BMI was way above normal. And he basically explained to me that my body feels like I'm 5 to 10 years older than I actually was at the time.
Okay.
And so with that, and then including my family's medical history of diabetes and high blood pressure and hypertension, that I'm at greater risk of getting it at a very early age or before I turn 30 years old. It was a wake-up call for me to really start looking and considering getting into shape. And I've always laughed and giggled about the running club that I actually attended every Tuesday and every Thursday at the job at Nike where I was working.
Yeah.
And I used to always tease to the other associates that, you know, look at these guys, they're sweaty, they're smelly, they're coming in, not soon realizing that I have to soon join them as well. So
Willingly.
And so joined a group and met wonderful coaches like Coach Kane, Terrence,
Coach T. Yep.
So all these guys were from day one was in my head and talking me through the ropes of running and educating me more about running. And I had to learn to love it as well. If I wanted to meet that long-term goal, these were the necessary things that I needed to do.
Okay.
Now, me with my, you know, need for things to happen overnight, patience wasn't so much the thing, you know, that I liked. But I became more disciplined with running and understanding that patience is key. You have to create a plan and a goal, a long-term goal for it.
Okay.
And that long-term goal was to lose weight and get into an ideal weight that I want.
Okay.
And since then, now, fast forward to now, I always like to tell the story about how I started running. I was one of those, you know, couch to 5K type of runners. I don't even think those programs were really even offered back then as they are now, but there was never any 5K program or anything like that back then in the early 2000s. And if there was, it was never announced. So I had to learn a lot of things on my own, a lot of trial and error with running.
Yeah.
And again, you know, me having the need for things to happen right away, I had to put my tail between my legs and really understand that, you know, it's going to take time. We need to be patient. And I would go out with the group, and one of my first few friends, Kenny Mack, who is still an associate there at Nike Town to this very day, was one of the first great guy. You know, really good friend, actually took the liberty to take me out to the lower loop, which is the 1.7 mile loop, as we all know. It felt like a marathon before I even knew what a marathon actually felt like. So from there, you know, it was a lot of stop and go, walk and go, until I actually was able to accumulate endurance to run that lower loop on my own. And for most people, and I talked to a lot of novice runners about it, the first beginning stages to running is very intimidating. So you kind of want to make sure you can fit the part first before you actually join the group. So he accompanied me on a few runs just so Kenny, and to, you know, at least get me comfortable and used to running, so when I do decide to jump into the group and do an actual group run, I feel more comfortable.
And when did you do your first group run? Because what I remember, you were heavy, you were pretty sleek and fast. That was 2004.
Well, I didn't really start losing the weight until about 2005 or 6, really, because do things. And again, it was a learning experience, and it took a lot of time and patience and trial and error to learn everything. I would go on a 3-mile run and then go to Shake Shack back then and put back all the calories that I burned. So I didn't really see any results right away until I got further educated.
Right.
So if you're going to eat this, you need to run like this. So
that's right.
I was like, okay, well, all right, now I understand why.
So
the time you're referring to was really when I started to slim down. I started to lose about 50 pounds or so. I lost about 50 pounds at that time, I believe, when I started pacing. I was one of the in-house pacers for the group. As I was working there. And my success story as to how I lost weight is one of the reasons why I got and became part of the group, because I was the household name and example of all the new runners that came in. And if anyone had any questions about losing weight or the first beginning stages, I am the person to talk to for
go-to guy.
Go-to guy. So
I didn't know that.
So and it was sort of integrated from another company that's still active today with Nike as far as doing all their marketing promotions for all the runs. But back then it was a little bit more closed in, more intimate, and we knew everyone, and everyone was very welcoming every Tuesday, every Thursday. Anyone had any questions, it went right from running club straight to the selling floor. Yep.
Those were the heydays. And we were building the group in those days. They were kind of small, maybe 50 to 75. And now it's taken off. But now you made a transition, because now you're the coach for the Fast Twitch Tuesdays for the running company. And how long have you been with the running company?
For 4.5 years now. So after I left Nike, there was a year of absence. I was still running. I was coaching. One of the things that I did was get my USATF coaching certification. So that was one of the things that I've done. Because I have good rapport with a lot of runners in the running community, and a lot of people know me by name, first and last name basis, or has followed me, has ran with me or so, they saw it as a great opportunity. So
absolutely. Now, the running company, this is on the Time Warner building, right?
Correct.
Because they got one on the east side. Which opened up like 4 or 5 years ago, recent anyway. But the running company has more than Fast Tuesday. I think you also do something women-only runs, like on Wednesdays or something like that?
So the format was Monday, we call it Sexy Pace. It was kind of a funny name we played around with in the store, and we kind of ran with it and called it Sexy Pace. And that caters more to that novice runner, someone that's looking to start off with a group run but not really commit to the group run. And the paces can range anywhere from 8 minutes and faster all the way to like 12 minutes and slower. So we cater to all the paces. Very simple, low mileage, anywhere between 3 and 5 miles.
That's every Monday, open to both sexes.
So only one location, and that would be only at the Time Warner location. And then Tuesday, that's my Fast Twitch Tuesdays group, and that caters to and I have to be careful with this to make sure we want to make sure that we're available for all abilities, as long as they understand what the workout is and they have some knowledge of what speed workout is. We're more than welcome to have you come, and that's every Tuesday at 6:30.
How big a group is Tuesday?
The Tuesday groups can range in any given time of the year from 7 to about 20, depending on the time of the year. So it's a smaller group, and these runners know that and when they're coming on Tuesday, they're coming to work a little harder and much faster, so they understand they've done speed workout before.
Rest of the week?
And so for the Wednesday, we used to call it the ladies' night, and now since a few of our coaches have left the company, we're going to call it another name, but we have it. We still have the Facebook page for it, so if any runners is inquiring about coming in on a Wednesday to go for a run, they're more than welcome to come, and it's almost the same. It mirrors Mondays, so it's very casual, anywhere between 3 and 5 miles.
But not necessarily ladies anymore.
No, it's not ladies anymore. It's co-ed, actually.
Co-ed,
so,
So. All right. And I got your art there, right?
I actually was the successor of his Tuesday spot. He passed the torch to me. So.
We used to see him out there all the time. We were in Nike Town running, and he was
Yeah.
So now you're the new guy.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's great that, you know, I've learned so much from Gerard. I learned so much from a lot of these guys. These guys are experienced runners, 20 years or more, and so it was a lot of learning to do and a lot of research, things that, you know, a lot of people don't really want to take the time for. And for me, I still have this little knack for things happening smoothly and right away. Things don't normally, you know, so you have to have patience for it.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the retail side of the business, because I follow you on Facebook, and occasionally you would tell funny stories about a customer coming in.
Yeah.
Some of them very, very well known.
Yeah.
Is there one or two good stories you can share with us? Keep it clean.
I'll keep it clean. Let's go back to Nike Town. God rest his soul, Robin Williams. So I've had the privilege of working with him 3 times while I worked at Nike.
Serving him.
So yeah, serving him, and I each time he's come back to me, and he knew my name, he knew where I worked at, and he came back to me, and it was a great honor to work with him for about an hour or so. And he came in. It was interesting because he came in, I didn't recognize him. He was dressed like a teenager. So he's got on this really oversized baseball cap. You know, you can tell by the grayed beard, and, you know, he's a short guy. And, you know, he comes in with, like, you know, an expensive leather jacket on, he's got baggy jeans on, and he's wearing Air Jordans. So it was, I kind of looked at him in a way where it was like, oh, this is an interesting older gentleman. He likes the sneakers that I like. And it just so happens to be Robin Williams. Yeah. So I was like, wow, oh, okay, wow, nice to meet you. He's like, yeah, I need some help. I love the way, you know, I love the way how some of the fashion, and can't quite remember some of the conversation, but he was really delighted that I knew what he was wearing and everything like that. And I spent maybe over an hour with him, helping him, and he spent a lot of money in the store. So,
after an hour, you would think.
Yeah, after an hour, he spent a lot of money.
So you were his personal shopper.
I was his personal shopper. I was actually delighted to, you know, he's one of my favorite actors. I've watched pretty much all the movies that he's, you know.
God bless his soul.
So I was very heartbroken to hear the situation and see that, and so it was just a great experience working with him. I've worked with quite a few celebrities, of course. At Nike Town, Spike Lee lives close by to the store, so I would help him when he comes in. Another favorite was Johnny Cochran, the late Johnny Cochran. That was my early days at Nike Town, working there. And then recently, Cicely Tyson comes into New York Running Company, and she's plain Jane Pittman, pretty much, you know, and she comes in, and it almost looks like she just rolled out of bed and just came into the running store. And so one of my coworkers, Michael Ritz, really assisted her throughout, but we were just all around kind of talking to her and having conversations. She was so nice and very polite and graceful to us, and she like blessed us and blessed the store. So it was we were really honored to have her there. She could have gone anywhere, but she came rolling out of bed, you know.
So you live in the building? Or
yeah, headscarf and everything, very comfortable. It almost looks like she was wearing like maybe slippers on, and she threw on an overcoat and said, I'm going to walk right into the running company. So, yeah, so, you know, had a great time. And then funny experience, Bruce Willis likes to come into the running company when he's here, and, you know, he's just very stoic. His no emotion, comes in, is very serious look. Yeah. He doesn't want anyone to help him. He knows exactly what he wants. I guess he knows the formation of the store. So he comes in and he grabs up a pair of socks. You know, spends about 20 minutes. Only grabs a pair of socks.
20 minutes, okay.
Yeah. Only grabs a pair of socks and then walks up to the register and just, and hi, Mr. Willis. No emotion, no words. Not a man of many words in person, but great actor on TV.
Love him with those.
How about yippee-ki-yay,
when he plays that role with the hippie yay. I can't even say it myself.
Die Hard. Yeah, Die Hard movies. Yeah. He was Thank you. Have a great day.
It's interesting. So in real life, very different from their on-screen persona.
Very much so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And obviously, you enjoy meeting these people, and obviously they like meeting you because you give out that vibe of enjoying whatever they're doing, whatever they're presenting.
Yeah.
Take them as you accept them as they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're good with people, these things come naturally. You know, I was never one to be starstruck in any way. So when someone of a certain celebrity comes in, you know, just hello, how are you? Howie Mandel likes to come into the store, you know, and of course we all know the rule. There's no hand contact. He doesn't.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. He fist pump you.
Or an elbow.
Or an elbow. You know, so it's, you know, he's an interesting guy. You know, but he doesn't want any help, and he'll tell you that he doesn't want any help, and he says, I got it, I'm fine, you know, and then he'll let us know that he's taking about 5 pieces to the fitting room, you know, to try on, just in case if we had any notion of thinking that he was going to take anything.
Nyles, we're almost out of time, but I want to cover a couple of things. One, you know, what are some of the future challenges that you see for yourself with 2015 and beyond?
I want to do a little bit more with the coaching. Okay, so I'm also working privately with clients now, and I'm about to take on 2 big projects, a restaurant owner, and I'm going to have 2 surgeons. So
wait a minute, these are your clients. You're going to train a restaurant owner and 2 surgeons?
I'm going to and 2 surgeons. So so this is a big deal for me, and this is kind of a true test of what my talents are. Everything that I've learned with coaching, everything I've learned with running, I'm still learning. So this will be the true test. I have, with the very little coaching I've done on the side, I've made a lot of runners better runners. Educationally, physically. So I've made, you know, I've done a lot of work with a lot of people who, you know, really appreciate it, and it's just paying it forward. So these are 2 big projects that I'm looking forward to for 2015. As for myself, with running, I'm still going to continue running. I'm still going to continue running these little races here. I've been, since I've turned 40, I've been placing, you know.
I know, you just finished second recently, this weekend. I
won 3rd overall in a trail 5K, which is a big deal for me. And it's just 300 runners in a really tough, almost seemingly like a Van Cortlandt trail course. And came in top 3rd out of 300 runners. So.
That's excellent. And 2nd in your age group, I guess.
And 2nd in my age group.
We've ever seen you. We're so proud.
Usually the age groups, you know, range from, you know, they usually do it by 5 years, but this was by 10 years, so it was like 40 to 49. So it was a big deal. There's a lot of runners out there, and it was cold. And I just kept saying to myself, I don't want to deal with this anymore than, you know.
Fast twitch, don't fail me now.
So you really have to, you know, practice what you preach, you know. So it's a prime example for a lot of the guys that attend Fast Twitch Tuesdays on it. You know, one of the quotes that I recently posted on another social media page is, you know, you earn your trophies in practice, you pick them up in competitions, which is a great quote. And that was a prime example of, you know, practice makes perfect. When you practice, the results will follow.
Well, on that note, I wish you continuous success in all the endeavors you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much, Will.
Pleasure.
I saw an interview with you and Scott, and
Scott Cohen.
Yeah, not Scott Cohen. Scott Shiva.
Scott Shiva. Oh, on Nike.
Yeah, from Nike, and I was curious to know like what your thoughts was with the whole change with Nike, because I'm sure your old school Nike running club, when it was called Run NYC, and now it's called Team Run NYC.
I still have some of the shirts.
Oh yeah,
I was like many of them. I was upset, primarily because of the communications, the way it was done. It was, I think the way they explained it. Oh, something's going to change. The change is here. There was no transition.
Right.
But I think, like anything else, over time, people come around and said, oh, Nike is like a brand above in the sense that they see themselves, okay, like a great hockey player anticipates what the puck is and they place themselves in the right spot.
Yeah.
I think in this situation, Nike says, because of the way the running scene is changing, we have to place ourselves here and the people will follow.
Right.
And luckily for them, Nike runners love their Nike pacers and coaches.
Yeah. They're loyal.
They made it work.
Yeah. They made it work. It took some very heated Facebook posts, and I've seen all the posts, and being as an ambassador for the Nike brand via New York Running Company, it's kind of hard for me to add my own opinion to it. You know, I can kind of manipulate a little bit and give advice for those folks, you know. And one of the posts, I'd commented on the first week of it happening, and I said, running is here forever, and no one's going to take running away from us, you know. You know, things change, organizations change, people change. But in our running community, the running doesn't change. And so you have to, one of the other maxim that I learned at my old jobs is evolve immediately. And so when things happen and it happens to change and something that we love to do, you kind of have to evolve with it, you know. And you never know, it could be beneficial. And I think taking back from and getting collective feedback from a lot of the runners, like they actually appreciated it more so than they did on the first days when it was implemented. And so you're absolutely right to your point that it was the way how it was done, and I'm pretty sure logistically speaking, they could have done a better job at it. This could have been planned early on in the winter months and not right in the heart of marathon season. And so I think they've taken that logistically and saw that, you know, this stirred up a debacle for a lot of the runners. While they've accumulated some, they lost a lot. And they lost like the old school, like the UNI and some of the folks.
And you know what? They probably okay with that because they have to move, in their mind, forward. Whatever that is.
Yeah, they have to move forward.